This video is concerning squares and oppositions of the constellations, planets and houses. But first we'll begin with the constellations, which can lead to health problems. I am the author of the book you see on screen. I've begun doing beginner videos on astrology because I've come to realise few people really know of the depths it can go. I did do an earlier video on the physiology and anatomy of the constellations, planets and houses, but I will be referring to it later as well. But I will be only focusing on selected areas in this video to show you how the squares and oppositions work. People are probably wondering now, how does astrology cure? As I've done a number of these videos. So I'm going to bring in a slide now on the animals of the zodiacs. This is to show you how astrology has given us the cures for illnesses. I've used them myself. I've gone into some detail with these plant foods and the rulers of the zodiacs in my earlier video called Squares and Oppositions of the Fixed Constellations. And I'd like to move on to the cardinal signs because I'll just be repeating myself if I continue, and I have 10 pages in my book on foods alone to prepare it in the correct manner, which is a very lengthy process to explain. In these screens of squares and oppositions, I'm actually describing to you what is known as quadruplicities, and they are the fixed, active, also known as cardinal, and mutable signs, which are the talkative signs. In this new screen, I'm going to be talking about the active areas involving our own actions, the home, the partnership, and our work, the type of work we're suited, because that is ruled by the 10th house, which is Capricorn. Describing these areas, we could bring in that the external influences of our health could be affected by any one of those four I've just mentioned. As you can see, Aries symbol is on the left, Cancer is below, Libra is on the right, and Capricorn is above. When we are looking at muscles and red blood problems, you have to consider the other two areas related to the same function of Aries, which is Mars in first house. An opposing sign is Libra, Venus, and the 7th house. They rule the kidneys, and Aries rules the muscles, as I've shown here, as well as the head. In doing research to show you how the signs affect each other, if there is damage, I found, and according to medlineplus.gov, when the muscle, head or skeletal muscle, that means the muscle holding together the bones, is damaged, it releases a muscle fibre in the blood, a protein called myoglobin. The opposite sign, Libra, rules the filtering out process of toxins by way of the kidney. Myoglobin breaks down into substances that can cause kidney failure. This in turn is called rhabdomyolysis. In the reverse, Libra's rulership of kidney, if damaged and not caused by muscle problems, can cause high blood pressure, which is under Aries, the ruler of red blood. As these are all active signs, the treatment, I feel, would need to include the person becoming active, unlike the earlier signs which were fixed. Also, too much muscle has been known to cause cardiovascular disease, which has to do with the heart I believe this is caused by a complementary flow from Aries onto Leo, and in addition, the Sun, the ruler of Leo, is also likely to be squaring one of Aries' areas, either the constellation house or planet. If Mars was making an ill aspect to the Sun, this would cause too much heat. If Venus is involved in the square, this could be bringing in sugars and the effect of drying them out, resulting in them gradually becoming gravelly and crystallized. Now, Venus, the ruler of Libra, is known for it being a sweet, loving planet. Well, most of us know it's that. It's been told that it's a bit harsh and unlivable by humans. It rules the sugar, and it's one of its products. The effect of sugar on the stomach is that it can cause pain by way of gas. As you can see, Libra is on the right and is squaring Cancer below. This brings into the equation the stomach and memory glands. Here I'm trying to bring in the squares and oppositions to Cancer and Capricorn, as in above. According to www.livestrong.com, apparently sugar in the stomach creates a gas which can be very painful. This relates to Libra being one of the triplicities that has an air element. Also, I'll just outline one of my real life instances in understanding the oppositions, and also I'm bringing in here the 150-degree angles that I haven't been able to go in detail with. But in 2007 I was diagnosed as having low O2, which is basically low oxygen in the arteries. I was in the emergency ward and they'd had to bring my blood pressure down, and I was informed I could leave. I said to them, I can't, because I can't stand up. My knees were failing me. In my brain, I started to think this over. Knees are Capricorn. It's their rulership. And obvious opposition was Cancer. And I wasn't able to express myself where I was living, where the home is Cancer. It's the Cancer sign. It's ruled by Cancer. Also, everything I'd worked for was gone. I'd moved and left the job I'd just created for myself. Capricorn is the area of work, so I'd given up on what I was doing, and I was in the home, unable to express myself. I wasn't able to express myself because I was sharing with people I'd had relationships with, which had broken down, and I'd wanted to stay friends, as they did too. This resulted in my actions being blocked, which is ruled by Aries, partnerships, and Libra. Or Aries is one's own action, and partnership is ruled by Libra. And in analysing the 150-degree angle from Capricorn to Cancer, which rules the stomach, I asked the doctor to look into the oxygen and heart, because Gemini, being prior to Cancer, and making the knees were failing, so I went 150 degrees down, which brought me to Gemini before Cancer, and I went to 150 degrees prior to Capricorn, which was Leo. So things that play on Capricorn, on work, are those that involve the heart. So I said to the doctor, if you can stay with me, I'm looking at air and oxygen, and I'm looking at something to do with the heart. And that's when Doctor, who I was forever grateful for, Dr. Canalese, said to me, I'll do a rapid systems check, which was an oxygen test. Anyhow, he found out that I had the low oxygen in the arteries. Unfortunately, my sister died a month later from a heart problem, which the autopsy couldn't find the reason for. This made sense as it could have been the same problem I had experienced. Imagine the problem with low oxygen in the arteries. There is basically no symptoms and you just feel tired. Now, calcium fleur, which is the shell of a crab, probably could have set aside the knee problem along with Capricorn's meat, and using only the oil would be goat oil. But I went home untreated. I then slowly recovered, but I couldn't get tests done to see what my artery gases were. Whilst the hospitals were the only ones to have the equipment, they refused. But I'm still here to tell the tale. This, I believe, brings in the 4 squaring constellations, also the 150-degree angles mentioned earlier. Astrology is renowned for its basics everyday experiences being understood through the planets, and some astrologer letting you know what's happening, but it hasn't gone far because of Australia's planetary aspects. There are few medical astrologers that can relate external influences to internal illnesses, where I have sought to bring you documented evidence on how the internal organs work. In looking up bone marrow transplants, although I've overlooked one of the most common side effects, and would you believe it's had me blocked for the last 3 days. But the most common side effects of bone marrow transplant is nausea and vomiting, which is propelled from the stomach and is the main digestive organ ruled by cancer. In bone transplants, they're using the opposite sign ruled by Capricorn to treat the illness cancer. Personally, I feel they should be trying crab meat. This is the symbol for cancer signs. And the heavens have given us the cures if we only look to them. And whilst it has been many years since I treated people who volunteered, the zodiac symbols have been my primary ingredient, except for those that pertain to humans. The next video I'll do will be on the mutable signs. This simply means they are talkative signs. It doesn't mean they are always able to express themselves. In some cases, it can be vague. In the quadruplicities, which is really what I've been talking about as explained earlier, there are the 4 opposing signs. This means there are a set of 4 signs squaring and opposing each other, and when they're multiplied by 3 we get 12, making the 12 constellations of the zodiac. As I've gone through 2 sets of 4, there are 4 left to explain. Well, thank you for listening. I hope you've enjoyed, and bye for now.